Hey guys, this video is about the labs that you're going to be doing for Chem 143. Now, because we're all online, we're not going to actually be performing the labs. So you do not need any equipment. You're not going to buy anything. You're not going to actually do anything, even at home. It's kind of a shame, but it's where we're at now. So the lab reports first. Let's look when you log into the course here. This link right here takes you to the laboratory and exam schedule. So if you look at that, that always lets you know what lab you should be working on and when it's due. So the first lab is called Tools of the Trade, and you should start working on it about the second week of class. That's when you'll have your student data, which I'll show you in a minute. And it's due. This is the due date. It's due. That one's due February 1st at midnight. It's always a Monday night at midnight. So that's how you know what lab you're working on and when it's due. So when you go to work on the lab, you come down here to the laboratories module, and you'll see as we finish or get turned in each lab report, then the next one I'll open it up beneath here. There's a lot more than this. So first of all, unknown numbers. If you click on this, there are no unknown numbers ever. So sometimes, see what's going on here is the labs, I wrote them all myself, and I wrote them when we were still on campus. And so when you're on campus, you get an unknown and an unknown number. But for us, no unknown numbers. So just if there's a box for that, if I happen to miss that in the lab report and it still says unknown number, just leave it blank. It's okay. Next link here is a video, which you should definitely watch on how to turn in your lab report. Make sure you guys watch that, because if you don't follow these specific steps, there's a good chance that when you turn in your lab report, you'll think it's all done and turned in, but I'll just see a blank lab report. So make sure you watch that video and follow the instructions very carefully, okay? Now, this video here, next one, this is specific to the first lab report because there are a few different things in there that you need to know how to do. And it's not that bad, but make sure you watch that before you go to write up your first lab report. So, but after that, okay, all of the labs are going to follow this format. There's going to be a link to a video. In this video, I'll show you what it looks like in a minute, but it's a video of me explaining and demonstrating that experiment in the lab. As you guys are watching this video, you should have the next link open, which is the procedure. It's actually an introduction to procedure. So if you let's click on this link and let me show you what it looks like. So it looks like this when you open it up. And all of these procedures have an introduction. Definitely read through this, okay? If you don't understand everything in there, that's okay, okay? Just kind of get the general gist of it, but try to understand as much as you can. Don't spend hours and hours, read through it, kind of get the idea. You can always come back here. Sometimes when you guys are writing up the lab report, if you don't understand what's being asked or how to do something, come back here. A lot of times you'll find it, like here, for example, the percent error. There's an example of how to do a percent error, for example. Or a deviation. People ask about that a lot. But then, okay, so this one's longer than most introductions. It's the first lab. Has a bunch of stuff in there. But after that, all of my write-ups have this section called procedure. This is what you would be doing if you were actually in the lab doing the experiment. You guys are not going to do this, okay? It's unfortunate, but like I said, that's where we're at. This is what you'll see me doing. So this, you guys, you should have this open in a window next to, or maybe you print it out or something. But follow along as I do the experiment, because you'll see in the video. First, I do an explanation, so take notes as if you were in lecture, because that's your lecture part for the video. And then as I do the experiment, just kind of follow along. If you see in here, I have record these in the data section, page 8, A1, and A2. I'll show you what the data section looks like in a minute, but that's where you would write all your data, and you're going to write data in there too. Okay, you get data in this experiment anyway from two places, which I'll show you. So anyway, you go through, follow the procedure. This one has a couple parts to it. You'll see me do like sometimes we repeat something 3 times. I only do it once in the demonstration, but if you're doing it, you'd actually do do it 3 times. It's a table that you use. Okay, guys, this is for the first experiment, the data tables. This is, if you were in the lab, this is where you would be writing your numbers down as you measured them. Here, I'll show you where you get these numbers, but you're also going to also fill this out. You do not turn this in. This is just for you to put all your numbers in, kind of get them all together. See the A1 right there, the A2, that's the A1 I was talking about up there in the procedure. And part B, and just parts A and part B for this one. All right. So the video, we're not going to watch it, but when you click on this link, it opens up this video. So this is what you guys should be taking notes on and following along in that procedure as you watch that. Okay, that's enough of that. So you've watched the video, took your notes, followed along the procedure. Next, okay, your data. So for each of the labs, there will be a link that says whatever the name of the lab is, in this case, tools of the trade, then student data. When you click on that, okay, you'll get a file that looks like this. Your name will be here, last name, first name, everybody's will. Find your name, and that row is going to be your data. Now there's more than one page. This one has, there's another page, so it keeps on going. There's 3 pages for this one. Now this first experiment's a little different, and that's why that video and everything like that. But for example, if your name was in this first row, for your A1, that's the A1 right here, this is the units that it's in, it's degrees Celsius. You would click on this, and it actually opens up a picture. You would read this, but we're not going to read that right now. Same thing over here, but for your A2, that's the value that you put in for A2. If you're in the first row, 22.1 degrees Celsius, and so on, and it keeps on going. And then in the next page, your A6, your A7, your A8, B1, B2, and so on. So that's where you guys get your data. And what you do is you fill in your data table, and then you use it to complete your lab report. And this is the last part of the process. So when you click on this right here, okay, you see this page right here. And you see where it says submit assignment? We're going to come back and use that in a few minutes. But when you're ready to complete your lab report, a couple things first, guys. Click on this link, but before you do, make sure you watch that video on how to complete your lab report. One of the things it says is make sure that your browser is either Chrome or Chromium. If you're using any other browser, there's a good chance something's going to go wrong. A few things go wrong. But when you click on this, there are forms. This is a fillable PDF. So you fill it out. So I would put my name. You would put your name. Don't put my name. And then your A1 that you read from that picture, you would put here. Say, I don't know, I forgot. I'm just going to 12.2. Now, for this, okay, there's ways to do superscripts and subscripts, but I don't think it's worth a hassle. So for the degrees, we're just going to use an asterisk and then C. But units are very important. That's one thing I look for. So you're going to go through and fill all this out. And this data comes from the student lab data, that file that I showed you. Now in the analysis portion, you're going to do some calculations. So this here tells you that whatever A3 is goes here. So let's say it's 0.1 degrees Celsius. Do the subtraction, and in this case, because it's subtracting 0 from that, it's 0.1 degrees Celsius, and so on. You keep on, and so your A4 would go here. You do that subtraction, A5 and A8, and keep on doing that. And then this tells you how to tell what's most accurate, closest to the true value, smaller the difference between the experimental and true value, and then the smallest of the difference up here, and so on, most accurate boiling water. So then you get to part B, same idea. Your B1 from your data table filled in here, B2, and so on. Then you do your, you read this number from that table that you saw as we scrolled through the procedure, and then do some calculations, and when you're done, okay, so that's really what I want to get to. So after you fill in all these boxes, okay, well, first of all, before we do that, let's back up a second. What I recommend is before you start filling out these boxes, print this out and fill it in by hand, okay? Because what happens is if you navigate away from this page, you're going to lose everything, okay, all that data that you put in there. So fill it out by hand first. You know, you're gonna have questions. Ask me questions, right? You know, like do it ahead of time, and you know, get everything figured out the way you think it's right. When you get just before you get ready to turn in, that's when you come back here and do it just like this. And then once you've, and you'll see this all in the video on how to turn in lab reports. But when you're done, go up here in Chrome or Chromium. You'll see this pop up. Click on the printer button, and then for destination, click Save as PDF. Okay, and then you know you'll have all this filled in. Click Save. It'll ask you where you want to save it. Make sure that you remember where you save it. Let's do it here, and I'll click Save. Okay. Once you've done that, guys, leave that alone. Come back over here. This is where you clicked on to go to that file. Okay, now Submit Assignment. Click on that where it says Choose File. Go find that that file that you just saved. So for me, it's going to be here. And there it is, the PDF file. So click on that. Click Submit Assignment. And okay, so yeah, it's done, right? Once it gets turned in, okay, a couple things you should do. Make sure you do this right away. See where it says Submission Details right here, guys? Click on that, all right? And you'll see this window here. Don't click on this. I think this is just on your hard drive, but click View Feedback. Then what opens up here, this will be exactly what I see. Make sure that all the numbers are in here and everything like that. Okay. That's just to make sure that everything that you think is there. The other thing you use this for, the view feedback, is once I've graded your lab report, right away I think it sends you an email or something or a message in Canvas saying that it's been graded. You can go to your grade book and see what you got. Go here, okay, right to here where it says View Feedback. And every time I take any point off, I always explain why I took it off. I give you feedback. Make sure you read that, okay, so that you don't make the same mistake the next time, right? So that's that. All right. So that's pretty much how the labs are going to work, guys. If you have any questions, make sure you ask me early so we can get all this straightened out ahead of time. All right, I'll be seeing you.